So who is Nels?
Nels is a West African-born native, migrated to the United States in New Jersey, came to Maryland in elementary school, and since then I've just been focused and determined to create a new opportunity for myself and for my friends and family out here.
Okay. So you said you migrated. So talk about that. Talk about that transition on coming to this country. Even I'm talking about like on the plane or however way you got here. Talk about that.
Well, I came here when I was 5.
Okay.
Came here when I was 5. I was born in Liberia, West Africa. There was war in my country at the time. So my mom came here a year after, and she was a teenage parent. She brought me here because she had a friend who worked at the U.S. Embassy at the time. The sad part is my father, he didn't want me to leave. So
wow. Were there people that you knew that were experienced that?
You see, because I was so young, I was 5.
Yeah.
I didn't really know. My mom came here in 1990. She brought me here in 91. So it just happened so fast. And when I got here, I don't really remember the plane ride. I just knew the first place I landed, which is like the mecca of every African, Newark, New Jersey, or New York.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So from New York, you stayed there for how long before you came to
Well,
DC?
I was living in Newark, New Jersey, which is like the hometown of like popular rap artists like Queen Latifah, Redman, Method Man, and so forth. So I was living in like the hood, like I was in like 5th, 6th grade, and I came to America with a heavy accent.
Right.
So I used to get teased a lot in school, but I wasn't those type of kids where you'll tease and I would like act scared. Nah, if you tease me, I would fuck your shit up. Like,
right.
I was with the shit.
Right.
And I had a speech problem at the time because when I was back home in Africa, my mom, she had this young girl who used to watch me, and the young girl, she had a bad speech impediment. And when you're young, you mimic things that like the people who's taking care of you you're around the most.
Right.
So that's how I got my speech issue.
Wow.
So when I came to America, I had my heavy African accent and then I had my speech. So the American kids used to
cut costs, done.
The American kids, and I came here with like a war mindset because I was stuck in the war. So when I got here, like if you made fun of me in school, I was with the shits. Like I didn't give a damn if you was a principal. Like I had them strong, fresh off the boat boots. So if you tease me, I'll jump kick you 7 days out the week. It was 5 days of school week, but I would come back on Saturday and Sunday, and I would jump kick you 24/7. So, but all that is to say was that strengthened up like me being sure of myself.
Right.
That strengthened up me knowing how to like defend myself, cause I'm the only child. I'm the only child from my mom.
Okay.
My father got 4 boys, but all of them stuck back home. I was the only one that made it here.
Okay.
So so even just being teased and so forth, me defending myself, that even sharpened up me knowing how to jump.
Right.
So when I came to Maryland in Silver Spring in 4th grade, I was more like wow too, because I wasn't used to like when I came to Maryland, like all my aunts and them was living in Maryland too. So I wasn't used to seeing trees. Like Maryland has so many damn trees. It was a lot of cultural stuff that Maryland had that I didn't have, and like Newark, New Jersey, like I didn't really have no cereal. I wasn't used to like camps. Like I was just. So when I came out here, I was like, damn, so many damn trees out here. Damn, everybody's so nice. Like, my aunt and them, they were so proper. So it was a lot of adjustment. I was very bad. I was extremely bad in school. Like, I think my first week, I got into like 2 fights out here. But I never got suspended, you know. So that was something that I was very, very thankful for.
Okay, so you brought up something that I was actually going to talk about, which is your speech impediment.
Right.
And so with with what you do in this industry, you do a lot of consultations. You have to talk to people and network.
Right.
And every time you sponsor an event, you got to go up there and speak in front of everybody.
Right.
So talk about how you've been able to really navigate through that and how you haven't allowed your shortcomings affect you in the long run, because you're very successful.
Right. With me, because of my ability to know how to joan, and like I like chicks, so I always knew how to put a smile on a chick's face. I didn't give a damn if he was like 5'1" or 6 feet tall. Like if I see something I like, I'm going to smack. So I think with me just having a comedic personality and like a certain level of confidence since I was like a kid, a lot of chicks will like bypass that. They're like, oh, you guys see, oh, that's cute. I'm like, no, the fuck is not. But oh my God, chicks. So I think that alone, it was something that I didn't really think much of. And because I was the only child, I had a lot of friends. And it wasn't because I needed to be around friends, it's because I used to hate being in the house. I was always out in the streets, like trying to find something to do to like have fun, or just to keep myself productive at all times. So that in itself is sharpen up like my speaking, because when you're around people a lot, when you have a lot of friends or associates and so forth, like all of those things help. So yeah, at that early stage, those were some of the things that helped. But as I got older, getting into high school, college, and then when I got into the club scene, like that really sharpened it up, because I was around like thousands of people every day, every week, you know. So within the past 8 years of me being in the nightlife and event planning industry, I probably met over 1 million people. So you can just imagine how many people I've met, how many times I had to speak. I've passed out over 10,000 flyers. And when it comes to passing out flyers, you know, you just don't pass it out. You have to be very tactful and strategic. So that comes with a lot of planning, talking, and that was when Love nightclub was popular back then.
I remember Love.
So any given weekend, me and my partners at the time, we will come outside of Love at a certain time and pass out like 5,000 flyers within 1 hour. So just imagine how many people that I had to stop and talk to over a period of time.
Right.
So yeah.
That's interesting. So it kind of sounds like the validation or approval of a woman when you were younger kind of gave you the confidence to keep going, because you said you were able to and talk to girls, right?
So like, it was mainly like a lot of things I learned was primarily because of chicks. I learned how to cook because of a chick. I think I had my first girlfriend when I was like in first grade. I had 2 girlfriends. 2 girlfriends in first grade. I didn't even know I had 2 girlfriends. Like, yeah, girls was fast, man. So yeah, I had 2 girlfriends, and they both live in the same building. I still remember their names.
That's crazy. No, you want to air them out?
Nah, I ain't like that. I don't know like that. But this was when I was in Jersey, though. This was when I was in Jersey.
That's interesting, because I feel like this day and age, a lot of things that you guys do is to impress women. And so if you're at a certain age, let's say you're 25, 26, and you haven't experienced a woman or dated a woman, you might feel like you're a little bit inadequate. So this story really just shows how important it is, women, ladies, shout out, how important it is for us to really help our men and build them to make sure that you guys are confident. So now that you are making moves out here, you're making a lot of different things. Talk about how you've been able to build your clientele and some of the things that you do now to make sure that networking stays the main focus, and how much that has contributed to your success.
One thing that I do, and I learned this from my nightlife days, I try to always create partnership. And the reason why I say create partnership, because a lot of time when people are trying to build a clientele base, they're so concerned about partnering up or getting the big clients, the big brands, the big relationships. And I always tell people that the smaller people not to minimize their skill set or whatso have you, but the smaller people are the ones who will work hard on your behalf, because just like you're trying to get your name out there or your brand out there, they're trying to get their name out there. And there's power in numbers, so I always try to bootstrap, and I always try to connect with a lot of different brands that align with what I do. And the more brands I align and I partner up with, that speeds up the word of mouth. And I always tell people that when you're trying to create something for yourself, the main thing that you always want to figure out is creating substance. A lot of people think word of mouth comes from people telling about who you are or what your brand is about. And I tell them that's not true, because for people to find out about who you are, there has to be substance. For example, people don't go to McDonald's because they sell the best burger. They go to McDonald's because McDonald's, they had created the substance from their marquee value name. So once they created that substance from their brand name, people go in, the customer service is good at the early stage. That's substance too. Once the customer service is good at the early stage, their burgers is good, their fries is good, substance 4 or 5. Now, once all of those 5 substance is well tight knit, that's where the word of mouth comes into play. Your brand. Mm-hmm. People hear Flo, they're not contacting you to get an interview because they just want to be around Flo. They're contacting you because before Flo came about, Flo established herself in various industries, various jobs, various partnerships, even dating back when you was in college or high school. You was probably a cool person. You probably didn't do people wrong. You probably didn't do bad business per se. You probably was a person, when you said something, you kept your word. So all of those things is substance that create word of mouth, and it makes it very easy for people to want to do a collaboration or partner with you the more you create a continuous form of substance. So that's what I do with DC9 events. Whenever I sponsor events, I'm structuring a substance base where I go above and beyond with the advertising service that we provide from a sponsorship standpoint. Because if a brand or individual see that this company or this young man is going the extra mile and he's not charging us, but all he wants to do is come to speak at the event in exchange of a partnership standpoint, and I continue that on a consistent base with other brands and other individuals out there, that spreads the word of mouth even more, because I'm doing good service. I'm creating more substance. So after a while, when people start hearing DC, I'm like, oh, I know DC9 Events is, oh, the founder, he's a good dude, or they're about their stuff. They're about their brand. Like whenever you do business with DC9 Events, everything is always tight-knit. It's a contract or XYZ.
Okay. So I actually have another question for you in terms of your clientele. So I've also, I've worked with you, and we've done events together. And so I see a lot of your events you do are with women.
Right.
I don't see a lot of men, or you partner with men, or is there a reason why that happens?
It is and this is a strategy that I took during my club promotion days. When it comes to bringing people out to an event, men are not your biggest consumer. They're not really too fond about coming out. But they will come out when there's a women audience or influence, right? So when I used to do events back then, we used to do certain strategies where if we have an event coming up, we'll look on Facebook. This was like in 2006. This was like when people wasn't even heavy on Facebook. That was when you had to be in college at the time to have a Facebook page. So I'll see people who got birthdays coming up, and I'll contact and say, hey, I noticed your birthday's coming up. If you bring you and 10 of your girls, we'll give you a complimentary table, X, Y, Z.
Right.
Now, if I contact 20 young ladies within a week time period, and out of those 20, 10 reply, and then I have to get that deal, you got to bring 10 of your friends, that's 50 people, that's 50 females filling up the establishment before doors open up. Out of those 50 females, they know a dude, or when they start seeing pictures of the event, after the event, they see women over and over, they do like, oh damn, there's a lot of young ladies in here, I'm about to come through. So the same concept I apply to DCNI events, because women are your biggest consumer. During the early 50s, 60s, when door-to-door sales first came into play, a salesman would go to a person's house, and he would not make when he knocked on that door, if a male or the husband was home, he would leave and come back, because it's easier to sell to a woman, because men, we buy more so off of, okay, I see what you're saying, but how much is this going to cost me? We look at it from a logical standpoint. Whereas from a buying standpoint, that's not to say a women don't buy or spend from a logical standpoint, but you all would spend more so based on how you feel at that time. So that's why door-to-door salesmen, they usually always used to wait till the husband will leave the house and you think he will buy. If you look at today, if you go to the store, the car dealership, the car salesman, he will usually always try to sell to the female the most if the guy was there.
Right.
If you go to a clothing store, they usually try to sell to females the most. Certain clothing stores, there's more female stuff than men's stuff.
Right.
So all that's to say is, when you tailor your branding and your overall structure around a woman audience, and it's from a genuine product standpoint that makes sense for them as well, you increase the chance of your brand speeding up at a higher rate. Also, when it comes to doing business with guys, too often a lot of men, they have ego and they have pride. That's not to say doing business with females, they don't have ego or pride. But from a subconscious standpoint, a guy doing good business with a female and he's on top of his A game, that leadership he exudes is gonna make those females follow his lead, and it will create a certain form of respect. So that's why I tend to do business with females a lot, because I understand it from a consumer standpoint. That's not to say I don't do business with men, but with me having DCNI events, it's an event platform. People like to go out. Men are not really big on going out unless they're going out with their female friends or their girlfriend or so forth, or unless they have to go.
Right. Okay, so how do you think women can navigate in the same world? So let's flip it, vice versa. For example, I'm DC Now Events, and okay, I want to work with men. And obviously, the same way that you described a man and a woman, a man leading a bunch of women, they would fall more in line. Whereas a woman, men may not fall so in line to a leader. They may respect you because of your position, but it may not be the exact same formula. So do you think there's a difference? And do you think, or how much harder do you think it is for a woman in your shoes? I mean, you already know what we have to deal with. We have to deal with body shaming. We have to deal with men wanting more of us than what we want to give. We have to deal with looking a certain kind of way. And even me, I make sure that I look a certain kind of way, because your appearance is very important. How I look is going to be how you address me and how you take me. So what are your thoughts on it, vice versa?
Just from from my experience with just doing business with other females as a whole, their constant outcry and their constant complaint, excuse me, hasn't really been doing business with guys. Their constant outcry and complaint has always been doing business with females.
But is it that they don't do business with guys? You get what I'm saying? So is it that they are still doing both, or?
The thing is, you don't really have too much guys that's thorough about what they're trying to do from a business standpoint.
Right.
A lot of guys, when they try to do, or they get into the entrepreneurial realm, or they try to do business per se, a lot of guys, they try to use business as a leverage to get with that female, or to try to be intimate with her. And those are guys who are not used to getting girls. With me, I've always had girls. I've been getting girls
since you were 5, right?
You know, I've been getting girls since I was 5. So when I do business with female that need to talk to them in that lane is not there, because I've been getting girls since I was young. I've been getting girls since I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, like then the clubs, and it just took it to the whole new stage. So I've already been desensitized on getting chicks. So it wasn't even just girls that I've been getting quality chicks. So I'm used to being around females on an everyday basis. Unfortunately, a lot of men, they're not. They usually don't start getting quality females until they're in their late 20s. You see what I'm saying? Unless you're like the 4 type of dudes, I always like to say, unless you was a guy who was an athlete in school, you was a part of a Greek, you was a part of some type of social crowd that was like known, or you was like a guy like me who knew how to get girls. But aside from that, the average dude don't really start to get girls until they get out of school, until they start reaching 24, 25 and up. So when those men try to do business at that time, they are just starting to catch up on getting girls. So their approach is going to come from, they're trying to spit game, but they're using that old pickup approach. Hey, let's do business. So I think as a female, when you all meet those type of guys, you have to size them up, and a lot of times some females know that those guys are trying to talk, but they will compromise their integrity at times to try to partner up with that guy. And that's where the blur line comes into play.
Yes, you hit it on the nail. So before I let you go, Nels, let's talk a little bit about DC Now events. Talk about what's next for DC Now events. What do you guys have coming up? I mean, I see you everywhere. I see you sponsoring a lot of different events, but what do you have coming up?
So the sponsorship program was a program we launched in March of 2018, and the whole premise behind it was to come on board to sponsor events that we think had a great purpose, cause, and overall that aligns with our brand. So since launching the sponsorship program, up until to this day, we sponsored 22 events, ranging from women empowerment, community event that we thought had a great purpose or theme. And the overall objective for the sponsorship program, I'm just getting my foot wet to just understand how to align myself with people to give back. So by next year, I'm gonna turn the sponsorship program into a non-profit program where every 5 to 6 months, I'm gonna donate $100 to $500 to event planners or event that I think has a great purpose and cause.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because when I started off in the industry, me and my partner, we never really had any support. We never really had the guidance, the finance at the time.
Right.
So I told myself, when I get into a position of success or any opportunity, that's going to be my way to give back to people that's in my lane.
I love that. I really do, because I always think it's always important to give back, especially for those of us that grind. Why do you think some people don't even care to do that?
I think a lot of times, a lot of people, when they reach a certain stage, they tend to forget where they came from. They think that they did it on their own. Even if they put in the groundwork, they get a false sense of accomplishment, you know, and that can be a very dangerous thing, especially if you're a black person, because a lot of time, a lot of black people who reach a certain status, rather from an education, career, or a success standpoint, they will look back and be like, oh, I did this on my own. I graduated on my own. I got this good job on my own. I got this good career on my own. And what happens is these other group of people that are non-black, they will see that you're differentiating yourself, or you're isolating yourself from your own kind. And what they'll do, they'll give you all the tools to continue to be success. They'll give you the resource, the finance. They'll start to create narrative that the first black millionaire XYZ, and then those type of black people start thinking, oh, I see all those black people, they're not really pulling themselves up by their bootstrap. Look at me, I did this by myself. And what happens is when those black people get to the top, these other group of people, when they're very ready to give you a rude awakening, you cannot ask for other help from your own kind, because they created a lane for you to isolate yourself so much. Now you become very quiet, and that's why you see so many small amount of black people who are successful per se. They are very quiet when it comes to injustice that affect black people as a whole, because they're afraid to get their funds cut. So the more success, the more black people that you pull up, the even the playing field becomes when other group of people try to destroy you.
Wow. I think you made a great point, because I do see that a lot. And I do see how, like, for example, we all know the whole thing that happened with Jussie Smollett, and he was on Empire. And now, all of a sudden, on the next season, I think the first episode, they have him dying. So
Right.
he's done
Right.
due to what he did. And I knew that was going to happen, but that just shows you prime example. So Nels, how can people follow you, find you, and even get involved in the internship opportunities that you have currently going on?
They can follow us on our social media at DC9 Events. That's our Instagram, Facebook, DC9 Events, YouTube, DC9 Events, LinkedIn, DC9 Events, Twitter, DC9 Events. The internship program, we launched it 2.5 months ago, and I'm hiring for 7 positions in the PR, HR, event coordinator, administrative assistant, just overall internship opportunity that I'm going to turn into a part-time, full-time career by next year.
Wow, that's amazing. So you're building careers for people. You're bringing jobs.
That's the whole purpose of DC9 Events. Even though we're an advertising platform, we're creating a platform that's going to be the one-stop hub for everything that's going on. We're saving people time. They don't got to look for events no more. We do all the hard work. All you got to do, get dressed, look fly, go out, have a good time based upon the events that we advertise. And as the platform grows, we're going to create thousands of jobs for people from a domestic standpoint, and take it to New York night events, West African night events, and it's going to be the one stop for everything.
Wow, I'm excited. I see it. I see the vision. I'm with you. I'm here. Do not forget me, Nels. As always, y'all, this is your girl, Flo Essencee. This was an incredible interview, and we are signing out.
Thank you. Thank you for the interview, Flo.
Of course.